league model and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a Monday. Let's get the week started in style. And also a new month, which I guess means new month, new money. Welcome into March. The madness will continue all the way through. And we get Major League Baseball March 25th. It's just how we're going to get down. It's on the right side. It's Joe Raniere. We got you covered on this Monday. Why? Because you need all the latest on the hottest topics. What happened this weekend? How to play it forward. And also, Joe, did you know some smaller conferences are beginning their conference championships this week alone? March Madness is upon us. The hot topics are here. And we, Joe, are supposed to deliver them, and we will.
I'm excited, Donnie. You got a little World Baseball Classic around the corner here. Yep. It's getting Combine even. I can't believe I watched some of that. So, yeah, a little something for everyone right now, Donnie.
By the way, I also believe that the World Baseball Classic here are going to have 8 games, I think Friday, like 8 games Saturday. Good stuff to get it started off, and then you get quote-unquote medal rounds, and away we go, Joe. Get those hot topics delivered to the people. Have at it.
All right, Donnie. Well, like you said, the calendar has officially flipped to March, which means it is time for my absolute favorite annual tradition. And that, of course, is listening to Power 5 snobs try to justify why a completely mediocre program belongs in the NCAA tournament over a dominant mid-major team. And, of course, the poster child for this ridiculous debate right now is none other than our Miami of Ohio Redhawks, as they sit there, Donnie, at a pristine 29-0. They are just 2 wins away from a perfect 31-0 regular season. And yet, I had to watch over the weekend guys like Bruce Pearl step to the microphone and claim, well, they shouldn't get an at-large bid because they're not one of the top 68 programs in the country. What? The only crutch that any of these critics ever lean on is strength of schedule, Donnie. It's the only thing they ever look at. They want to knock the MAC. And listen, I get it. It's the MAC. It's not the Big 12. But guess what? When you try to build a tough non-conference slate like Miami of Ohio did, and 5 different Power 5 schools hung up the phone on you because they wanted nothing to do with you, you cannot be punished for your schedule. When you run the table and you do not drop a single game from November to March, the strength of your opponent goes right out the window. You simply show up and you beat them. We cannot allow college basketball to turn into college football, where entire months of the season are rendered completely meaningless. There are 31 automatic bids handed out the conference tournament winners. That leaves 37 at-large tickets for some teams to punch. You are honestly going to tell me that if a team goes 31-0 during the regular season, but happens to lose a fluky high-variance conference tournament game, they doesn't possess what? One of the most 37 impressive resumes in the sport? I absolutely refuse to accept a reality where we leave a 31-1 Miami of Ohio team at home just so we can gift a bid to a 15-13 Auburn team or a painfully average TCU or Ohio State. If you love analytics, just look at the wins above bubble metric. The Red Hawks are currently sitting 32nd in the nation in that category. And oh, by the way, Coach Pearl, you know where Auburn sits? 42nd. The math backs up the eye test. So anyone arguing that the committee should reward a team that loses double-digit games over a team that literally refused to lose, you are out of your mind. And at this point in the year, the only column, Donnie, that matters is the loss column, especially when that loss column is sitting at 0. So welcome to March, all. Now, Donnie, let the madness begin.
The madness will begin, and it's a great topic. And understand this, all sports aren't correct because the thought process in the old BCS era in college football, and even now we have 12 teams, Joe. Sure, hey, a team in the MAC ran the table. Well, they're not as good as, let's just say Power 5 teams or Power 4 group teams. So you let that slide and say, okay, it makes some sense. There's 68 teams in college basketball. And you're telling me right now a team that might go undefeated in the regular season at the Division I level would not make it in over 68 other teams? That's where the discrepancy comes in. Tournaments are built differently. In college basketball, it's made for the mid-majors to get in if they have solid seasons. And Joe is right about this. We don't want to see a 500 TCU team get in and probably get knocked out in round 1 anyway. That's not the point of it here. Storylines are made in March Madness. Miami getting in there, people will watch and say, okay, they went undefeated. Let's see. And even if they do get dropped in round 1 or round number 2, they still deserve to be there. Why? Because it's 68 teams. That's the design of the tournament, to give everybody a chance to make it in. That's not the design of football. It's supposed to be designed to get the best 12 teams in. And quite frankly, again, 12 teams, Miami wouldn't be in even if they were undefeated all the way through unless they won their conference tournament. It's just the way it is, and Joe brings up a great point. We don't need to see Ohio State again. Oh, that's a fun. No, it's not a fun team. They're barely hanging on. Let Miami of Ohio in. And by the way, Miami, just win. Don't even leave it up to the people that are actually trying to keep you out at this point. Great topics here to start the week off, Joe, but let's get into the early lineup. The UFC, they found a home at the White House, but actually airing now on CBS, broadcast television, Joe. That means ratings.
That means big ratings, and it means, that's going to be an interesting broadcast, I'll tell you that. So also going to be interesting is who they allow actually on the grounds here to watch this. But this is fun, and the card is actually shaping up to be pretty decent. So should be fun. Something we won't see probably again for a very, very long time, if ever, Donnie.
Certainly. Joe Ryan, by the way, also, and doesn't look good there for the season for the Twins right now as is, but he's going to be out of the World Baseball Classic, replaced by Ryan Yarbrough here. Pitchers struggling to even start their season, Joe, particularly for the Twins that don't have a lot of high numbers that they're looking at. Not a good look here, but he is replaced by Yarbrough.
Yeah, I mean, they already lost Lopez, right? Now Joe Ryan is going to be slow. That'll be the end of, hey, thanks for participating, the Minnesota Twins this season. But, yeah, Yarbrough, listen, I mean, you need arms at this point, Donnie. And, if you're going to play a tournament like this in March, you better have you got to have a lot of pitchers on the staff here at this point.
Remember when Joel Embiid was back to his MVP levels, and I was like, you know what? Probably it's time to trade him at the trade deadline if anybody will take him. Now, an oblique injury is going to keep out another 3 days. He's had fractured faces, Bell palsy. He's got knee issues in both knees. He had back issues before. And now, oblique. Come on now. Come on, Joel.
Yeah, unbelievable. They certainly could have used him last night against Boston. But, they're going to have to once again move forward without him. And I don't know, is Paul George ever coming back? I mean, how long was that suspension?
I don't know. Suspension to the playoffs. We'll see. He's resting up and maybe doing his podcast at this point right now. How about Steve Kerr? It's amazing what happens, too. Like, hey, you know what? This guy would be awesome if he was healthy. Oh, Steve, he's never healthy. Doesn't matter. Make the trade. Oh, now, wait. We don't even know what's wrong with Porzingis now. He just doesn't play basketball.
Hilarious, and he tries to walk that back. Listen, it's one thing if you're like, wow, I just didn't see this coming. The guy was always healthy. The guy has never been healthy. Ask the Knicks, ask anybody that's ever played with him. Mysteriously, these mysterious illnesses overtake him. The fact that Steve Kerr was even shocked with that is amazing.
St. Louis Cardinals used to be baseball heaven, big crowds every night, competitive team. They're no longer competitive, but they're saying right now, hey, Ollie, it's going to be a tough couple years here. Don't worry, we got you covered. They re-upped Ollie for another 2 years because not his fault they don't have any talent.
No, but listen, they're a very well-run organization. They have a good farm system. They will figure it out sooner rather than later. I have much more faith in the Cardinals rebounding in the very near future than I do some other teams in Major League Baseball.
Do you have any faith in Jerry Jones? Says, now we got some money to spend in free agency. Oof, good luck with that one, Cowboys. Who you getting?
Break the bank, I think, was the term that I kept hearing this weekend. Like, Jerry's just ready to break the bank. Okay, but who you spending? Who you overpaying for this year, Jerry? Let's start with that. Who are you going to overpay for?
How about the Kings firing their head coach? No good vibes coming off the Olympics for that organization, huh?
No, gotta go, man. Bye-bye. Can't win, can't coach.
Spreadlines coming up on a Monday here. College basketball, NBA, and much more on your way next. We'll be right back.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Spreadlines on a Monday, right here on the early line. It's Donnie right side, and it's Joe Ranieri. The month of March is upon us. Yes, March 25th is Major League Baseball season. March 25th, you are going to be in the depths of Selection Sunday, plus the tournament, and away we go to the Final Four in early April. A lot of these key games are still lining up, which includes the ACC. Joe, if you're watching over the weekend, I know you were, Duke, ultra impressive in gaining a share of the ACC regular season championship. They can clinch it in full tonight by taking on NC State. Duke is at NC State tonight. This line opened up overnight, Joe, double digits. Has dipped down slightly to -9.5 at most outlets in a total of 147.5. Duke in the ACC, how good have they been this year, Joe? How about number one in efficiency on offense and also number one in efficiency on defense as well? tremendous team looking to clinch it all in the regular season, Joe. But the question to you is not will Duke win? What's that spread line tonight?
Yeah, well, it's definitely, and by the way, I don't think it's going to matter what Duke does here, win, lose, tie. They're still going to be a number 1 seed come March Madness here. But, the big question to me is for NC State, who is not, he's been going the wrong way here. But they have been better at home, Donnie, this season, on both offensively and defensively. Also, Duke has just been on ridiculously unconscious shooting the ball from 3 here over the last couple of games. In fact, I think if you go over the last 8 games, they're not that good of a three-point shooting team, but they're not missing many. If they do regress here a little bit, maybe, just maybe on the road, NC State can keep this game close, Donnie. I don't think they'll win it, but can they keep it within double digits? It depends on how well Duke shoots the 3 tonight.
Exactly. Let's head up to the Big 12 here. Iowa State going to take on Arizona. Iowa State losers of 2 of their past 3 games, but Arizona seems to have found their mojo once again. Last game out, they absolutely detonated Kansas here. Arizona is a favorite at home at -7.5. Those are the opening numbers, and you see the graphic still sits this morning at -7.5 as well. The total in this game, 147.5. Arizona on defense, number 1 most efficient team in Big 12 play here. Arizona versus Iowa State. Joe, what's that spread line for you tonight?
Well, the problem with Iowa State, I mean, how they lost at Hilton to a, shorthanded Texas Tech team is hilarious. Oh, I know how. They can't shoot, Donnie. Absolutely horrific shooting. And here's the stat you need to know. They are 10-0 this year if they make 10 or more threes in a game. That's great. The problem is they have not made 10 threes in a game since February 1st. And by the way, Arizona has only allowed 10 or more threes just 5 times this year. And boy, oh boy, expecting them to go on the road to Arizona and all of a sudden regain that touch from the perimeter, I doubt it. There's a reason why this line is 7.5, Donnie, and it would not shock me if we start to get a little bit more money towards Arizona here, because something tells me Arizona is going to wrap up the Big 12 here tonight in a big bow.
And how about this? The IU Indianapolis Jaguars here on the road to take on Cleveland State. We're talking Horizon basketball, people. Look at this line overnight. A -1.5 point favorite for the home team, Cleveland State. Still sits this morning at -1.5. A total, Joe, which you love to see, 170.5. Why? Because 2 of the worst defenses in the Horizon are going to be on full display tonight. Roughly pick 'em, Joe. Cleveland State, IU, Jaguars. What's going to be the determination in this one and the spread line?
This is the first conference tournament game of 2026, people. It is are you ready for this? The play-in game for the Horizon tournament. That's what we've got here. That's how bad these 2 teams have been. But make no mistake about it here, Donnie. We're talking about 2 teams that are absolutely correct. Not going to play any defense. Imagine a tournament game, and the total is 170.5. Why? Because you're going to get dizzy watching these 2 teams run up and down the court and chuck up threes, as many as they do. It would not shock me if one team gets to 100 in this game, Donnie, because that is how many shots and possessions they are going to have here. Neither team is going to play defense. If it's 170.5, Donnie, it's 170.5 for a reason. I wouldn't be sweating out an under in this Horizon League play-in game.
There you go. Tournament time already underway on a Monday. Who says no? And by the way, the NBA has got some action today. Only 4 games on the docket, Joe. Boston Celtics going to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. The Boston Celtics beat the Philadelphia 76ers without Joel Embiid. And Milwaukee, I think they missed like 50 shots in a row in their game. Got absolutely blown out. Who knows what Doc is still doing as their head coach. But tonight, Boston still on the road, Joe, favored by 7.5 points with a total of 215.5. The Celtics looking to keep their winning ways going and try to move up in seeding in the East. And the Milwaukee Bucks are like, hey, Giannis, do you still like this team or not? Bucks is a heavy favorite. What's your spread line? Or excuse me, Bucks has a heavy dog. What's your spread line tonight, Joe?
Both these teams on the second of a back-to-back, Donnie, and hysterical yesterday watching the Milwaukee Bucks against the Chicago Bulls score 66 points in the first half, Donnie, on their way to blowing out the tanking Bulls. And let me just tell you what happened in the second half. Just to give you an indication, Milwaukee scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. 8 points in the fourth quarter for a grand total of 31 in the second half. I can't see this game getting over 215.5 points, Donnie. Boston Celtics, top defensive efficient team here over the last month. They held Philadelphia to under 100. They're going to hold the Bucks under 100 in a big way as well this game.
By the way, if you want to think that's a big Bulls win, Joe, they didn't win in the month of February, the Chicago Bulls, and they came back with that victory, which is absolutely incredible. It's the NBA just on full display here. Let's go out to the West Coast. The Los Angeles Clippers going to take on the Golden State Warriors. We have some changing of the guard here with the lines. Overnight, Joe, a -1 point favorite for the Golden State Warriors. That's not the case as we wake up today. It's the Clippers 1.5 point favorites across the board in the total of 217.5. Steph Curry looks like he's going to be down for at least another 5 games for the struggling Golden State Warriors. What's that spread line tonight? Clippers Warriors, Joe.
Well, I mean, listen, the Clippers have played their way into the postseason conversation, right? They're 2.5 games behind the 8th place Golden State Warriors. So this is a big game here. And now this month for the Clippers there's a ton of games, ton of back-to-backs like this for the Clippers. 137 to 117. They blew out the Pelicans last night, which gave, of course, guys like Kawhi and company a chance to kind of take the second half off here. Not much redeeming about the Warriors until they can get Steph back here. It feels like the Clippers will handle business. But look at that total, Donnie. 207, 207.5. Not a lot of offense tonight.
3 games with big lines, 1 game that should be competitive. It's Clippers and the Warriors here. More hot topics on the way. Let's keep it with basketball, people. We'll be right back. Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number 1 in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
I have my own account. I don't need to have any. He didn't say any of that. So I'm of the belief that if someone accuses you of something and you don't deny it, there's a reason you didn't deny it. Because you kind of feel like they got me. And yes, I'm not going to tell you I did it, but I did it. Yeah. Don't you think so?
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, and with the Clippers, Craig, it feels like Kawhi is on the island. We saw him ball out in the All-Star game the other day. Kawhi was very impressive, and he's had a fantastic season. I think when you look at the Clippers, if the Clippers' record was better, but he's still James Harden, you would be talking about Kawhi as an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best players in the league in terms of how he's been playing. He's been fantastic.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Basketball topics, Joe. That's what we're here for. It's March. It's time for March Madness, and maybe March Madness could already be over in the women's game. Not necessarily. There's some really good basketball teams, but this is an interesting topic to talk about. It's about UConn's women's basketball. And if you don't pay attention to women's basketball as much, like, yeah, of course. I think every year UConn's undefeated or has 1 loss. Well, did you know, Joe, they completed their first undefeated regular season in 8 years with a win over St. John's. It sounds kind of crazy because at third Division I level, they play all the toughest teams out of conference and seemingly mow through them. But it's interesting to me where you just feel like UConn every other year is unbeaten. It's been 8 years since they ran through the regular season unbeaten. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, well, you just UConn and women's basketball synonymous with just right. Have they lost a game yet? I mean, that is their reputation, but it hasn't been. I mean, they did go some stretches, even though they've had some of the game's greatest players. They went through some stretches there where it wasn't good, but boy, are they good again in a big way. So, and we talked about it with Miami of Ohio. I don't care when you can go undefeated. I don't care whether you're UConn or you're Miami of Ohio. It's a special season and it's a special group of players. And who better? Of course, Gino, another undefeated season. Just amazing stuff by the Huskies.
And again, it's UConn we're talking about. Now, understand this. They've had talented basketball teams, both men's and women's. But where do you think, UConn would be the center of women's college basketball for close to 30 years? Not like Miami or an SEC down south. It's absolutely been UConn here all along, and they're back on top. They're undefeated. We'll see if they can win another national championship this year. How about this, Joe? The new age of men's college basketball and men's college sports for that is stay as long as you want, kid. And when you're a kid, you'll grow into an adult. 26-year-old Chad Baker-Mazara is no longer part of the USC basketball program, the school announced. This is an interesting one because he's changed schools a million times, but sort of gets injured in their last game, then decides he can't play, then has his uniform on, and sits in the crowd, only for his coach at the end of the game, we just didn't have enough chairs on the bench. Who's covering for who? But he's no longer a part of USC basketball.
Good riddance, Don. It's his third school that somehow he's, got a divorce from. So, you think you see any red flags there, Donnie? You think there's anything behind that? Not a good teammate. And it's unfortunate because, had they not lost Rice, who was their best player to a shoulder injury in December, and had this kid not been a few fries short of a Happy Meal, they might be making a run, but Musselman right now has got to be going through it because he's their leading scorer. Without him, it's going to be tough sledding to make it anywhere even close to one of the top 68.
By the way, it looked like they were headed towards March Madness here, maybe just getting an at-large bid, but 5 straight losses. Now your best players, I don't feel like playing anymore. He's off the team. Not a great look for USC at this point, but this is a new NIL era. Maybe it's hey, you know what? I want an extra $1 million to finish the season since I'm the star. No, you're not going to do that. Okay, coach, I can't play anymore. I'm just going to sit in the crowd and be off the basketball team when it's all said and done. Crazy stuff, but that's the NIL era. Let's check on some of those games, Joe, on Saturday. Boy, people have been telling you for a couple weeks now, Joe, watch out for those Florida Gators. 111-77. This wasn't Florida hey, we're going to have a cross promotion and play the Horizon League. No, this is SEC top 20 year Arkansas. And their coach is Calipari. 111-77. This team rounding into form, Joe. 14-2 now in the SEC.
Listen, and they have gone scorched earth, Donnie. They lost to Auburn at home for the first time in 15 years. Yeah. And ever since that loss, they have just gone scorched earth. They don't care who you are. And Arkansas, listen, had been very, very good, but they look like a deer caught in the headlights. They had no answer for Florida to drop. 111 points in a college basketball game against the second-placed SEC team. Pretty impressive, Donnie.
Regular season SEC champions, those Florida Gators now. Put in the rafters, as they like to say, Joe.
Yeah, I don't think, that put it in the rafters is great, but again, they're looking to defend their national championship title here, and they got a good shot at doing it, Donnie.
Michigan's men's basketball put out a tweet here. LJ Kaysen will miss the rest of the season after tearing his ACL during U of M, which is obviously Michigan's victory at Illinois, Joe. Tough blow for Michigan.
Yeah, dominant win, by the way, over Illinois. Illinois has got to do some soul searching here. But he was one of their best three-point shooters, Donnie. Yeah. So that's a big loss there for Michigan.
Certainly is a big loss, of course. They play good defense, but that offense certainly high octane here. A lot of expectations on Michigan. Never good to head into your conference tournament / March Madness without one of your better basketball players here. Let's flip it over to the NBA. News, notes, and game boards, and much more coming up next right here on The Early Line.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number one in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
It's hard to be a big man in the NBA. Why? The wear and tear on your body. And hey, are you a three-point shooter or not? You won't be able to play extended minutes in the NBA. But how about Zach Edey here? That dude's got a powerful leg body, right? By the way, when you look at Zach Edey, it feels like if he's 7 foot tall, let's just say, like 6'10" of that is just his legs. The other couple inches just his upper body. Undergoing ankle surgery, man. Time to get the surgeries out of the way if you don't think you're going to be competitive, Joe. It's the way it is in the NBA. Yeah. Yep. True.
But again, good luck with John Morant. I don't know what they're going to do with Morant, but they better figure that out. But Zach Edey, that's the future of Memphis.
There you go, Zach Edey. Again, Yao Ming had some of those foot and knee injuries as well. There, take a look at ankle injuries for Zach Edey. Get it fixed up, maybe be healthy for next year, and continue your tank for the rest of the season. How about Steph Curry and the Warriors here? In limbo, why? He's going to miss a few more games here with that knee injury, as NBC Sports Bay Area is telling us here. Not good for the Warriors, trying to rest him up for the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they said they'll reevaluate him in, 10 days here? It just keeps, every time he tries to do something with it, they say it's not quite there yet. But again, big game tonight against the Clippers, who are just 2.5 games behind the Warriors for that 8th seed there. You know, anything beyond that, Donnie, then it's that play-in tournament. So, you know, the sooner they get him back, the better it will be. So, but listen, as soon as the NBA gets Steph Curry back on the floor, the better it will be.
How about this? Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. Have you ever heard this before? Zion exits with an injury here. Yep, 115-105 victory over the Jazz. He leaves early with an ankle injury. Does that mean his season's over now at this point? Is that what we can usually gauge?
Listen, I love bashing Zion and his unavailability each and every year, but I got to give the guy credit, man. He has played more games this year, Donnie, than I ever thought he would, and kudos to him. It was an ankle injury against Utah a couple of nights ago, so it was the second of a back-to-back last night. I'm not shocked that he didn't play, but he's been a gamer this year, and it just goes to show, had he stayed healthy in his career, Donnie, Zion could have been breaking records that were the guy is almost unguardable. It's hilarious if he could stay healthy.
That's what people forget. Like the hype out of high school and when he was at Duke was
legit.
Absolutely incredible. And if you remember, when the #1 ping pong balls came down to New Orleans, the celebration in the sales room in the front office that Zion was coming to New Orleans, and it just hasn't worked out. Why? Because he can't stay on the court and they can't put good enough players around him here. Just one of those things that happens here. How about Jokic? Near 35-point triple-double, wasn't even good enough to beat the Timberwolves. This man stacks stats on a night-to-night basis. Somebody help him, Joe. 35, 13, 9, and 2, and another L.
Yeah. So the interesting thing here with him is that he's already missed 16 games. I think 18 is the cutoff, Donnie, to be eligible for the MVP. If he manages not to miss more than 2 more games here, I just hand him the award. It is absurd what this guy is doing on a nightly basis here. He is truly unguardable in every aspect there. But he's got to play. He's got to be eligible to win that award.
Some people are saying, Joe, the advent of the analytics and the 3-ball is ruining the NBA game. Well, put that focus on Charlotte here. Most 3-pointers made since January 1st, 2026. LaMelo Ball's dropped 101. Brandon Miller, 96. And rookie sensation Concanipple, 94, Joe. Do they even take anything outside of 3-point shots?
Listen, if you want to know why it is that Charlotte is considered the most dangerous team in the NBA right now, that graphic right there tells you. Because if one of them has an off night, one of the other two, Donnie, is not missing. It's unbelievable what we're seeing there. And kudos to Charlotte for actually putting together a product that's actually worth buying tickets and going to see, man. You gotta root for teams like Charlotte that have been in the dumpster forever here, and now all of a sudden they got a little energy and are very dangerous, Donnie.
Can't win every game in the NBA, but my goodness, you check out what the Spurs were doing before they showed up to Madison Square Garden yesterday, hammering everybody until the Knicks go, enough. 114-89 blowout for the New York Knicks at home. Even though Wembanyama, 25 points, 13 boards, and 4 blocks wasn't enough. Can't win them all, but the Spurs, still 43-17 on the season.
Well, I mean, when you go the entire month of February without losing, 11-game winning streak that got blown up there, that's pretty darn impressive. And they pretty much had everybody. But listen, we know the Knicks are capable of that, right? But the problem is, can they do it consistently here, Donnie? And can they do it on the road? That remains to be seen.
How about the Celtics here? Got their 40th win of the season yesterday to 20 losses by beating the Philadelphia 76ers 114-98. No Joel Embiid, but who had Nemish Keita on their card for dropping 27 and 17 in that Celtics victory, Joe?
This kid is a force, man. I mean, no Embiid, though. He kind of just dominated everything inside the paint in that game last night. But once again, Boston's doing it with defense, too, here. They're cleaning up the boards. They're making enough threes. If you can't score 100, you're likely not beating the Celtics.
No, certainly not. And by the way, still waiting on that. A lot of people say, okay, Sixers and Celtics going to be a national televised game. That means Tatum's coming back. He seems close at this point to coming back and giving that boost to the Celtics. Or does it ruin team chemistry? We'll find out. And for people like, hey, keep Tatum out for come on, man. Tatum's one of the best players in the NBA. Of course, he's going to come back when he's healthy and ready to play. It'll be interesting to see when that gets done. Could it be tonight? I don't know. Celtics on the road to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. And I guess we could be on Doc Rivers' watch for the rest of the season because they're probably tanking their way out. Maybe they can say, Doc's out. Hey, Giannis, this is a better coach we're going to get on the way in with new players. Well, tonight, they're 7-point dogs, basically 7.5 now on the line here against the Boston Celtics. As you pointed out, Joe, to open the show, these teams are already coming off back-to-backs here, and the Bucks got embarrassed, and they're getting 7.5 at home.
Yeah, I mean, imagine 8 points in the fourth quarter is all they could muster offensively. And the funny part about this game was, Donnie, is that we heard Giannis, was all of a sudden from, not playing to, all of a sudden he was listed as questionable. And, it was like, okay, Milwaukee has won enough games now to legit have a shot at the play-in tournament. And you're going, is Giannis going to make a return? And then he watched him score 8 points in the fourth, and I doubt we're going to see him anytime soon after that one.
The question is, who's Doc Rivers blaming for these type of losses here? Certainly not himself. Hey, Doc, how about a timeout in the fourth quarter, call play, get an easy bucket out there? I guess they couldn't do that here. Clippers-Warriors going to take place tonight, Joe, 10 o'clock on a 4-game card in the association. The favorite this morning is the Los Angeles Clippers over the Golden State Warriors, and that low total, 216.5. But as we just told you, Steph Curry probably out for at least 5 more games. Not going to be there tonight at home for the Warriors.
Yeah, not good. And listen, the Clippers second of a back-to-back, but because it was such a blowout game, you know, they were able to rest Kawhi there in the second half. And to me, it's all about you just got to manage Kawhi with this crazy schedule coming up in the month of March, because when he's on the court, we all know, Donnie, that's a different Clippers team. Mathurin has been fantastic. Some of the pieces that they've brought in, I think they can make a legit run here and sneak in, especially considering where they were at in the first couple of months to where they are now. That's a huge turnaround for the Clippers.
By the way, yesterday, Brooklyn hung around against the Cleveland Cavaliers as the Cavs still picked up the win, Joe, 106-102. But James Harden with a broken thumb still played in that game. 36 minutes, 22 points, 4 of 7 from three-point range, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. That's pretty incredible at that point, having a broken thumb getting out there. I didn't even see anything covering his thumb, like it was any like soft cast or anything.
Listen, there is a version of James Harden that would have used that to an excuse, and we would have never seen him again. So the fact that he showed up and played and was able to help them get past avoiding an embarrassing loss, that's pretty impressive.
NBA action on a Monday here as we continue our march toward the playoffs and March Madness. Tom Vecchio is coming up next. Let's hear what he's got to say on some Major League Baseball topics.
Tanking is hurting the NBA right now too, and what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
I actually, and I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get after it here on a Monday and have some fun. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Raniero. Let's welcome in Tom Vecchio. Baseball on the horizon. The month of March, the World Baseball Classic. Baseball begin March 25th, regular season. A lot of information to go over. Tom, how we feeling on this Monday? New week, new month.
I'm doing good. World Baseball Classic, real games actually get underway on Wednesday night into Thursday. Diving into some things in terms of the pools and which teams will qualify for the pools, I think that this is among the more interesting bets to make in the opening rounds.
Look, let me give you some hot topics right off the bat, Tom. We did a show yesterday, 2 hours, pro baseball today. We talked a little Pittsburgh Pirates, what we thought they would happen. A little bit later in the day, they played an exhibition game, Tom. Third home run for Griffin, one of the best prospects in Major League Baseball. Give me your excitement level of this kid starting opening day and what we might be able to anticipate.
Yeah, Connor Griffin, 19-year-old top prospect for the Pirates, should absolutely be on the opening day roster. Like, there's no excuse for him not to be there. In the only reason he would be there is just because the Pirates are doing the roster service time manipulation thing. He should be on the roster. They have nothing to lose. They've only to get fans in the stands on a day-to-day basis to see a top-level prospect. Even if he struggles, you want him to struggle at the major league level to grow through that and then get better as he goes along.
Yeah, well, good luck with that, because then they got to pay him. Yeah, it's just we all know how this ends up working out with them. It's actually, exactly. It's interesting, Tom, in Major League Baseball with this World Baseball Classic in March, and we learned that Joe Ryan now is going to be replaced by Yarbrough. Listen, to me, I'm starting to think one of the angles with this is, you better have enough pitching to be able to make it through these 8 games, because a lot of guys are going to be limited. It's going to be very interesting how these managers navigate these pitchers, and are they on pitch counts? I mean, how do you approach it?
You have to approach it very cautiously. To see, the 2 major headlines that we've seen for at least Team USA outside of Joe Ryan being replaced, leaving the team because of his back issue, would be Scooble saying he's only going to do the 1 start versus Great Britain in pool play, and then Skeen saying he's going to do 2 starts, which would be 1 in pool play and then 1 presumably in bracket play. But we can't operate under the assumptions like, Paul Skeen's going to be out there for 6 or 7 innings and 110 pitches. Right. No, he's probably going to be out there for 3 innings, and then it's going to be some combination of a bullpen game after him, or all these games are going to be operating as bullpen games. So that's how we have to approach it. I know that there will probably be specials for Team USA, like, Paul Skeens to have 8+ strikeouts in 3 innings or whatever but like, those are really, really tough to make, knowing that you are dealing with a finite amount of time. It's not like he has a long runway to get this done. So, looking to you can do alt first 3 unders. I know everyone talks about first 5s in baseball. So you actually can find alt first 3s in most cases. I don't know if they'll be posting for every World Baseball Classic game, but knowing the games that Paul Skeens are going to be starting, other teams are not going to be able to score against him in that limited time that he's pitching.
By the way, Tom, if we're using our minds here and saying, okay, what's the best way to win this tournament? Are our best assets to be throwing these guys, talking about the Scooble against Great Britain? When you say, hey, Tarek, slow down. We're going to win our pool play easily. When we get to the better teams in the knockout stage, why are we not saving the pitchers? Like, what's the point? You could throw a bullpen guy out there, an 8th inning guy that's going to be able to beat Great Britain. Why would Scooble pitch in that game? It seems ridiculous.
The only reason that what I've gathered is that he's in a contract year. It's him making the decision along with the Tigers, along with his agent. It's like all of these things saying that he wants to pitch, do the participation, and then get back on track for spring training and the Tiger season. That's what it comes down to. He doesn't want to be there an extended time. He wants to have his normal ramp up into the season and just use this as a normal spring training start as he would, and then get back on schedule.
Yeah, should be fun to watch this whole thing unfold here. Also, it should be fun to watch the stretch here in the NHL, Tom. No, I mean, I hate to say it. My Panthers let another one get away last night against the Islanders. One get away against Buffalo at home. So that window is closing here. But kudos to the Islanders last night for getting it done.
Yeah, a huge comeback from them. Honestly, a great turnaround season from them. Number 1 overall draft pick Matthew Schaefer has been unbelievable. Like, there's not enough to describe how good he has been. New GM. Patrick Waugh has been there as the coach for just a short time, but an incredible turnaround for them. And honestly, they're a team that should be willing to make moves. Like, they are in a spot, and frankly, when this started with their season, I said they were a year ahead of schedule. Frankly, they're at the point now where they should be willing to make moves. They should be willing to push some of the chips into. This is not an all-in type of season, because they obviously have a young, core of players that they're trying to build around. But make some moves, go for it. They're going to make the playoffs. Be a real contender in the playoffs. Don't just sneak in, because they can do some damage.
All right, let's get to the real important news here at this point. Everybody knows here at the network, I fast, so I eat one time a day. And just to let you know, yesterday I stopped at Sonic, and then I went to Chipotle in the same day. I had ice cream and also a Mr. Good bar yesterday. So I eat good when I'm able to get inside my window. Check out the Cardinals. And Tom, we talk about how bad the Cardinals are going to be this season. This might be one of the most impressive things I've ever seen by any organization. They need fans in the stands. They're bleeding money. But how about this? The Cardinals are introducing a ticket package starting at $29 that includes bottomless soda, hot dogs, chicken tenders, bratwurst, nachos, fries, popcorn, peanuts, chips, and ice cream. So if I'm reading this correctly, I pay basically $30. I watch a Major League Baseball game that I might not even care about, but I can eat all the food that I want. Oh, my. Phillies, do this. I will be at your ballpark every day to end my fast. Every day, Tom.
Yeah, I talked about this actually with my friends in my fantasy baseball league because that's just an unbelievable promotion. They have to do something. Like they said, we talked about, are they setting things up because they are preparing for the lockout next season potentially, that they just want to get fans in the stands? That's something to keep an eye on. The Rockies also have a very interesting promotion where they're selling entire home game packages, all 81 games, for $200. $200 for all 81 games is insane. One quick note I want to make about the pool play starting for the World Baseball Classic. A lot of people are going to be looking for Pool C for Japan and South Korea, both to advance because they're both heavy favorites. Be very cautious of Chinese Taipei because Japan, Chinese Taipei, and Korea are all ranked in the top 4 of the world team rankings. So 3 of the top 4 teams are in the same pool and only 2 are going to advance. So everyone's going to presumably say Japan and South Korea. Chinese Taipei is very good.
By the way, I need to spend a little bit more time on this because this shows you how much Major League Baseball teams rip you off. They're not going to let you in the game for $29. Like a soda's $8, hot dogs $12, chicken tenders $15, a brats $15, nachos $15, fries $10. What? Major League I need an investigation into this, Tom. Thanks for joining us today on a Monday. We'll be right back after this break. Michigan at a 57% chance right now, followed by Arizona, Duke, and Houston. Here's the interesting caveat, Joe, for Michigan, who's the favorite right now. On February the 8th at 5 a.m., they were trading at 40%. Today, 57%. People like themselves some Michigan here.
Well, Donnie, exactly, because Michigan, it just vaulted themselves to number 1 in the AP poll.
Prediction Markets Edge. Only on SportsGrid.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
I have my own account. I don't need to have any. He didn't say any of that. So I'm of the belief that if someone accuses you of something and you don't deny it, there's a reason you didn't deny it. Because you kind of feel like they got me. And yes, I'm not going to tell you I did it, but I did it. Yeah. Don't you think so?
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, and with the Clippers, Craig, it feels like Kawhi is on the island. You saw him ball out in the All-Star game the other day. Kawhi was very impressive, and he's had a fantastic season. I think when you look at the Clippers, if the Clippers' record was better, but he's still James Harden, you would be talking about Kawhi as an MVP candidate. He's been one of the best players in the league in terms of how he's been playing. He's been fantastic.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
talk a little hockey here in the month of March, which, again, we spend so much time talking about college basketball, and we will do that because March Madness is upon us now. But don't forget this as well. NBA looking towards the playoffs. Same thing with the NHL. And don't look now. The Philadelphia Flyers on a 2-game win streak. I like to spend the next 5 minutes talking about them, but I won't do that because you know what we're going to spend some time talking about here, Joe? That team in Buffalo starting to do some damage, which includes on Saturday doing more damage to the Lightning, winning 6-2 on the road. Sabres at 35-19 on the season. Taking over that. Look, maybe the Bills couldn't get it done. Sabres look like they're trying to get it done, Joe.
Yeah, they are. And you listen, I mean, they're young. They've got plenty of depth, Donnie. The idea, and this was one of my worries as a Panther fan, you know, that's a team that they would have to catch. But normally in years past, you're like, this won't last. You know, the wheels are going to fall off here on the Sabres. Not happening, Donnie. This is a legit team that's getting great goaltending. Tage Thompson and company. This is a legit contender here right now, as crazy as that is.
And by the way, let me bring up this next graphic here. And sometimes, I like to say, Joe, we're doing a little bit too much here. Playoff chances as of Sunday. I'm sorry if you made this graph. I need to fire you. I need to talk to you and understand what you are trying to do. I like things that are simple, Joe. You see that graph right there? That gives you the playoff chances. Get your microscope out there and get after it for me, Joe. Let me know how it works out.
It's like one of those. It looks like the giant wheel there on The Price is Right. Like you just got to spin that thing and see who's going to go in there. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Well, listen. The bottom line is right now we know who the contenders are, right? So we know the Tampa Bay and Colorado pretty much in. We already know that, right? And then you've got Carolina, Dallas, Minnesota, Vegas. They're in. We know that. And then you got some of these other teams like Anaheim here. What is Pittsburgh going to do without Sidney Crosby now? Detroit, Ottawa, Utah. You know, and then you got some of these, can't count out the Edmonton Oilers, right? Can the Panthers, unfortunately, can they put enough wins together to get it done? How about the Columbus Blue Jackets, who went into the break as one of the hottest teams? So there are some opportunities. I think the Winnipeg Jets are also another team that you can't count out. So there are some opportunities down that board there, that graphic. I think that you can get at a pretty good price here, and the schedule lines up in the final 20 some odd games that remain in favor of a few of those.
How about this one? 3 years is enough. 93 wins, 58 losses. Hiller's out as the head coach here for the Kings. Playoff record, Joe, as you see there, 3-8. Maybe they can get some lightning in a bottle with a new coach here.
Yeah, well, listen, a lot of folks going to be running to the window with the old fired coaches situation here. It's worked very well in the NHL, in fact, here. And listen, Buffalo turned it around after they fired their GM. So let's see exactly what the Kings do once they fired their head coach. And does that mean they can rattle off a few wins in a row? If it ain't broke, Donnie, I wouldn't fix it.
Yeah. We've talked about Matthew Schaefer a few times here on the show. How about this update, Joe? 61 games, 20 goals, 44 points, and a plus 14. An 18-year-old defenseman. We just talked about him setting records with 18 goals. Put 2 more on the board for the kid. 20 total goals on the season.
Yeah, the kid is an absolute stud, and it's just spot on, Islanders. Way to get it, way to go here. Try not to screw it up, but Patrick Roy has done an amazing job with this Islanders team this year, and they've got a future superstar there. I think he's a superstar right now, but he's only, a lot of these young guys here in the NHL, Donnie, what's going to happen when they hit their prime? It should be a whole lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, how about some of these names on that list, too? Brian Leetch, the great defenseman there for the Rangers. He had 23 goals in 88-89 as a rookie. Barry Beck, 22 goals, 77-78. And how about Dion Phaneuf? It's a name I haven't heard quite a bit here lately. 2005, 2006, 20 goals. Then there's Schaefer at 20. And this season isn't done. Legitimate chance he can overtake Brian Leetch here. Let's get to some of the games tonight on the ice, Joe, out west. And you talked about it. Could you have a bounce-back effort when your coach is fired? Colorado comes to town as a heavy favorite. It's called minus 180 across the board in the total of 6.5. Do we have that extra bump here for the Kings, or Avalanche just too much, Joe?
Well, I mean, it's like, if anybody, Colorado, you could have fired them after the Colorado game and given yourself a pretty good chance here. But listen, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Donnie. It has been very profitable to back those teams in this spot. So, yeah, I'd take maybe the Kings on the money line, and maybe the puck line is not a bad look either.
Joe, don't look now. The Flyers could be the hottest team in the NHL right now, taking on Toronto in Toronto. Vladar's in net. Man needs to stand on his head tonight, Joe. I'm looking for a victory for the Flyers as a dog price in the 6 tonight. More hot topics coming up next. The top of the hour is here, and we'll be right back after this break.